we are doing an interview with you for our intercultural communications project. Is that okay with you?
That's fine with me.
Great. So I have some verbal and nonverbal communication questions for you.
Good afternoon, Dr. Duffin. My name is Christina Duffin, and I'll be asking you questions about adaptation and gender.
Hello, Dr. Duffin. How are you?
I'm in good.
My name is Alicia Molnar, and I'm just going to ask you a couple questions dealing with legal and ethical.
In Sierra Leone that are different from the United States.
I mean, there's not much non-verbal greeting that is different from the United States because the city, we came from the city. Like everything that we do here in the States, we do over there. Like the high fives, the handshakes, and the bombs and everything. So everything is the same pretty much.
Cool. Okay, next question. How does your culture view personal space, and how would you deal with a foreign business person if they invaded your personal space?
Okay. That's two set of questions right there. First of all, personal space. Personally, we came from a communal culture. A communal culture in which is a close-knit culture. You have extended families living together, and personal space is not a big deal. However, the older you are, right, the more personal space you receive, or they offer you. As it relates to businesses, especially foreign businesses, right? As somebody from another country, people are suspicious to an extent, right? So they tend to give you some space. They expect you for you to give them some space. They will give you some space until they get to know you. Right? So then once they get to know you, you realize that, there is no personal space. Basically, you see two friends holding hands in the street. That doesn't mean they are gay. Right? So it's just,
So are you saying if you have a foreign business partner that comes over to Sierra Leone to conduct business, eventually they're going to give you that personal space, and if they get, a friendship is formed, then, yeah. Okay.
Then that means trust.
Okay. Next question. Is eye contact appropriate or inappropriate when doing business?
Well, in Sierra Leone, eye contact is usually too much. Eye contact is considered disrespectful. That's just a culture. Like especially if you're dealing with somebody that is older than you or is senior for you. Whereas in the United States it's different. In the United States, if you don't look somebody in the eye, they assume you're hiding something, or you have something that you don't want to disclose. So that's a great difference between Sierra Leone and the United States.
Was it hard for you to adapt to having to look someone in the eye when you came over to the United States?
That's a great question. Yes, that's right. Even right now, I've been in the United States for 20 years. Right? If I'm talking to somebody that is older than I am, sometimes I have to force myself. Sometimes I overdo it. So people won't perceive me of hiding something. Because I have these I'm of two minds. Like one mind is telling me that okay, well, this person is older than me, right? I'm not supposed to look him or her directly, and the other side is telling me that okay, well, I'm in the United States, right? This is the culture. I don't want them to think that I'm hiding something.
Right. So how is it for you if you have someone who's younger than you to look them in the eye now?
Oh, no, now I don't have problem with that because I know the country in which I live, and I think I've adapted enough for me to understand that they are not being disrespectful.
Right.
That's the way things work here.
Okay. Does age matter in doing business? If so, how?
Age doesn't matter in doing business inside. As long as the individual that is doing the business is competent and productive, respectful, but respect man.
Do U.S. businesses greatly value the use of punctuality and the efficient use of time? How is the use of time and schedules valued when it comes to business in Sierra Leone?
I mean, the use of time um, is valued highly, and punctuality, because punctuality and timing represent or reflect responsibility. If you tell somebody in Sierra Leone that you'll be at a particular place and at a particular time, at a certain time, they expect you to be there. If you won't be there or you're running late, they expect you to call, and inform them that you're not going to be there at a particular time or you're running late.
My second question today is, what type of information would you recommend the U.S. managers have before conducting business in your culture?
But first of all, before going over there to conduct business, you want to know, one, the economic situation of the country. Secondly, the political situation and the social situation. Right. The economic situation, because it's different from the economic situation in the States. Right. Things goes up and down economically. Politically, it's not as it's stable, but it's not as stable as here in the States. Right. Because anything can happen because of the fragile nature of the society in which people live inside. And the social structure, meaning that, right, the way people operate, right, because even though Sierra Leone is being westernized, right, there is still that slight difference between the United States and Sierra Leone.
In what ways do foreign businesses have to adapt to the culture in Sierra Leone?
Well, as I said earlier, it's different. The United States has more of a legal structure that business people have to adhere to and have to follow. Whereas in Sierra Leone, yes, Sierra Leone has legal structures. However, those legal structures are not always followed. We have a lot of underground businesses that people do, and a businessman from the United States has to understand that, and has to understand how to go around, those loopholes, from avoiding, so they will avoid the problem of getting the problem of people stealing their money, basically.
So you can also say that that's one of the barriers that American businessmen and women face when they're starting a business.
Well, it's not a barrier. It's just something that is supposed to know, right? Because the barrier, if you call it a barrier, then it's something that they have to cross over. It's just an information that they need to know. So at least when once they go over there, they know what they are up to and what they are doing.
What are some of the biases that Americans or other foreign businesses need to think before starting a business in Sierra?
Biases, from the American point of view, one, don't think that Sierra Leone is backward. Yes, economically, socially, and politically, it's backward. But when it comes to business-wise and intellectually, the people are very sophisticated. They are very smart, right? Because some American businessmen and women, even foreign businessmen and women, that's some of the problems that they run into. They go to Sierra Leone and think, okay, well, the people are not enlightened enough. They're not smart enough. They don't understand the world enough, right? Then once they get there, they leave themselves open for people to steal their money, and by the time they realize that those people are smart, it's too late. So that's one thing that any business, not only American businessmen, right, foreign businessmen in general, all should think, not only in Sierra Leone, Africa in general, because most of the people that live over there are living in the States. Some of them are living in other parts. So they took all those survey and those different ways of doing things. So
My next question is, how does gender play a role in business in Sierra Leone?
I mean, locally, gender doesn't play much.
Hello, Dr. Gotham. How are you?
I mean,
My name is Lisa Molnar, and I'm just going to ask you a couple questions dealing with legal and ethical and social issues. In doing a deal, what are the different types of business contracts?
well, it's just like any other country. You have different types of businesses. You have small businesses. You have corporations. You have partnerships. Right. However, most of, even though those contracts are legal contracts, most people in Sierra Leone do sole proprietorship. Right. If a foreigner goes or an American goes to Sierra Leone, it depends on what type of business that individual wants to do. If that individual wants to do operate a corporation, then they have to go through the I think commerce department, right, to establish themselves, open a business, create a business name, and get themselves a license.
My next question is, in a legal aspect, is it difficult to start a business in Sierra Leone? If so, what are the difficulties?
Well, legally, it's not. It's not difficult to start a business in Sierra Leone. However, socially, it's very, very expensive. I mean, because going to Sierra Leone, trying to start a business, I think you're $1 million or $1 billion. Everybody, every step of the way, people expect you to bribe them to go through the process. So, I mean, legally, no. Legally, the process is fine. It's just the social culture that creates the problem.
Okay. My next question is, does education play a role in doing business in Sierra Leone? Is a certain level of education required to start a business?
Well, no, education doesn't play a role in starting a business in Sierra Leone, but education is a very vital part of the Sierra Leone culture. Right. You don't have to have an education to start business because most of the wealthy people in Sierra Leone, right, don't have are not college graduates, right? So I mean, when it comes to that, no. But if a foreigner or an American wants to go to Sierra Leone to do a business, I mean, I would suggest that they have some level of education. I mean, because some level of education will give them the know-how to interact with the people. Right. The understanding that okay, they're in different culture, different environments, and because with education comes knowledge, right? So I mean, I would expect that from somebody that is living in the United States to go over there. That doesn't mean that the individual has to have a PhD or a master's degree or even a bachelor's degree, but be educated, have enough education to at least